Welcome back, everybody. We have Brandon Aki on the couch with us, and he's going to give us some advice. And after that last segment, we need help. Right. We need a lot of help. We'll have to start with Gio later, but we've got the beautiful Kelly with us today. Brandon, Kelly has decided to do something, and I'm a little bit worried for her. And she's going to, I really am. And so she's going to definitely need some advice.
Okay.
Kelly has decided, so starting at Valentine's Day, going forward for the next year, she's going to go on what she calls 50 fat dates.
Okay.
So she's going to have between this past Valentine's Day and the next Valentine's Day go on 50 dates.
Yeah.
All right.
Churn and burn. It's a numbers game, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
So Brandon, tell us a little bit about you, though. They call you the real live Hitch.
Yeah. Originally born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina, so I think that you guys talked about that. I guess we were doing somewhere around 4 minutes and 30 seconds in that
right?
poll,
so you were on the top of the list. So there we go. So that's why he's smiling. If he would have lived in Alaska, there'd be no smile on Brandon's face right now.
Yeah, but born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina, moved off after high school to go to the Air Force Academy.
Oh, wow.
And studied behavioral economics at the Air Force Academy. Graduated, became a pilot in the Air Force, and flew jets for a while, and got hurt on a deployment. And long story short, found a new passion. Falling back on my degree, and realized that it was something that I was already in love with, but also at the same time, it was something I was really great at. So.
And that's helping us ladies.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And started my own company, and the rest is history.
Is history, and here you are on the Go Curvy couch.
Yeah, absolutely.
With Kelly.
Did you wash your hands?
I did.
Good, just checking.
That's always,
that's good. I gotta ask everybody that.
Now that wouldn't be a good date opener, would it?
Probably not.
I wouldn't ask that on a date, Sherry Lee.
I think you might, actually.
A pre-fellatio question or something like that.
Right? Oh, now you just scared her. She wasn't worried before, and now she's worried. Okay, Brandon. Kelly needs our help.
All right,
so
Kelly.
we need some basic guidelines. So are we asking too much of men? Like, are we expecting too much? What do you think? Like,
well, the answer is yes and no, right? There's some women who don't expect a whole lot, and then there's other ones who expect the world. It just depends on really what you need, not just what you want.
Right.
So that'd be the real question: is what is it that you need in a relationship?
Well, I'm in my 30s, so I'm not mucking around anymore. That's why I'm going on so many dates these days. So I guess I'm looking for husband material. I'm not on the first date saying, hey, I'm looking for husband material. Is that you? Do you want to marry me? I don't mean that. But if someone is not on that track, then I don't think there's a point going any further.
So is your goal to not go on the full 50 dates? Like, if you find like one in the first 2 or 3, then like you're done and you call it
She has
quits?
a rule and she
Or
has
you
to
a quitter?
stick to it.
Yeah. No, I'm going to stick to all the dates.
Okay.
But that's something that I was going to figure out when I got to that point, because I think that it would be more genuine if I write about it at the time when it's happening.
Right.
Instead
Exactly.
of predetermining, I'll do this if that happens, that if that happens. I'm just open to the whole experience, and we'll figure it out as I go along.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess kind of what is the question then? Like, if you had a consultant to help you along the way, like what would be the ultimate outcome? To just have fun?
No, I want to meet somebody. That's the goal.
Okay.
Like, it is a fun project, but I'm also like, I find dating in LA kind of difficult. Just the type of people sometimes.
For all those who live in the LA area, this is like the worst dating environment.
We were talking about it earlier because Kelly's from Australia and I'm from Canada, and it's very different than the United States and California in particular.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with people, like you said, people's goals. Like, people are here a lot of the time for business, to do work, and to achieve their personal goal, and everything else is secondary.
Yeah.
So I think it's...
And I think Kelly too, in a previous show, she was telling us she's had a little bit of problems with men being honest. And is that because she's looking in the wrong places, or are men just liars? Like,
well, you have to start off with a fundamental principle. It's what I tell all my clients. unless they're pathological, I always have to add that as a caveat, right? But unless they're pathological, people only lie when they feel they have to. So that means that the onus lies on you or me, right, to get honesty out of people. That means that, you know, I notice that people don't really lie to me very much is because I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for them to tell me anything. And a lot of people, they walk into situations with a preconceived notion. And they also walk into situations and dates with a past that you're unaware of. So maybe somebody bashed him for being honest last time, you know, oh, I have this secret fetish, or I have this or that, this is what's going on in my life. And some girl or some woman, like, you know, bashed him for it. Now he doesn't feel like he can be open. And that's the thing, is that, you know, people, it doesn't feel good to lie, right? Because you're always having to worry about all the pieces, the intricacies.
Yeah, I've got a short-term memory. I can't remember the lies, so I just don't bother doing it.
Yeah, so the
really
goal
can't.
there is to get them to be as open as possible, which means that you have to be open. That's where it starts.
Okay, so I've got a question. Do you mind if I ask Sherry Lee?
No, please.
So if you know what you want, at what point do you say that? Like, I don't want to scare people off being a psycho. Like, I'm looking to get married, because I'm not right now, but that is the sort of, say, 5-year goal, which I think is a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like 1 year, 2 years, like it's, but that is, but if
that's your goal.
Because I've dated people before where they've already been divorced, they've got children, they're not interested in doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what I feel for them, they're not going to want that, and I do, so therefore it's not a good fit, no matter how great the chemistry is or how awesome the person is.
With my clients, I tell them, and I teach them, it's a very methodical process, but I teach them to find out if a man is or can be the right man for you within the first 3 dates.
Okay.
Wow.
Literally.
Are you going to tell us some of those secrets?
Well, I guess the most simplistic way to say it is that it's all in the delivery.
Yeah.
You all are from different countries, but did you ever play something called Truth or Dare back in the day, like you were kids? Like, that's the type of delivery that you should have. A lot of women are like, so, are you ready to get married or whatever, right? Like,
I don't want to be like that, because it's a sort of, I guess, a 5-year goal. I don't know, is that short term, long term, medium term, whatever. So
I'd say for most people it should be faster, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like I said, within 3 dates, like if you're asking the right questions, if you're giving yourself the right environment, if you're staying open and honest and allowing yourself to, you know, commune in that way with that person, you should be able to know whether they are can be the right person for you.
Okay.
Very, very quickly. But you have to. There's an element of fun that a lot of people are kind of missing in dates. You know.
Well, that's the other way I've gone, where I've just had fun with the person and really like the person, but then we don't have the same end goal. So therefore, the whole experience is a bit.
Well,
and that's hard, because then you end up falling in love with the person, but you know that you're not on the same path.
Well, one of the biggest mistakes that people make as well is that they fall in love with someone who is right for them now. And the problem is that who you are now is rapidly becoming who you used to be.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So if you change that to become, okay, I want to find someone who's great for who I'm going to be, that changes the entire dynamic. Now you're not looking at yourself as now. You're looking at yourself as, oh, I want to have children. I want to have, you know, a white picket fence somewhere. I want to live by coastal or this or that, right?
Right.
All those things are going to change how you perceive that person, right? And with that in mind, when you communicate that to them, now they don't just see you now, they see you and them as a future together.
So Brandon, how much does chemistry play into it? Because that's instant. Like, you know instantly if you have chemistry with somebody. Like, isn't that important too?
I'll give you a great analogy. I was working with one client who was trying to date an NBA player, right? And he and I talked for a while.
Been there, done that.
Really cool. Right? But, I mean, but
I'm not even kidding.
But it was
6
a really.
11, just saying.
Oh, really? Well, I'm 6'5", you know, so it's like, you know, and that's what, and a really great quote he says, like, you can't teach size, you can't teach height.
Right.
And that's what I can't do as a courtship consultant. I can't teach chemistry.
Yeah, it's either there or not.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, but
a lot of
it's
people,
not everything, right? How important is chemistry? Like, honestly, truthfully.
I'm a big time nerd, and I used to say closet nerd, but like, you know, you talk to me for 10 minutes and like the nerdy side comes out. You just put the glasses on, with the tape in the middle.
Wear it on your forehead.
But the big thing is that we teeter in between. We're on the fence of, you know, that cerebral side and then also that like chemistry side. And a lot of times people hardwire their synaptic process to be like, oh, well, chemistry means love. It doesn't always mean that. It just means that, hey, you find some compatibility there. When your heart flutters and you feel that that really intense look in their eyes and everything like that, that's great. That's awesome. But don't confuse that with someone who's actually, great for you long term. You have to have that proper marriage of that before you can move forward. And that means it takes practice to have the proper discernment between, your physical longings and also to your emotional side.
Yeah, I've been in different situations. Like I dated this guy, gorgeous, in the military, ticked all the boxes, but I just didn't feel anything. And he had the same long-term goals, and
there was no chemistry.
No, so I just gave up after a couple of dates.
Yeah, don't try to push through it, and I give this kind of as a condition as well. I mean, there's been a lot of situations where arranged marriages actually work and they turn into love, and that's when people say, hey, we didn't go into this with chemistry, but we went into this with family in mind and things like that. So with that in mind, don't waste your time trying to push it. If there's something where it's just like, hey, I can kind of see it, but I can't, give it a little bit of time, but don't push it too hard.
Well, that's a good question too. Like, what is your cutoff? How many dates should you go on if you don't feel anything?
3 times a charm for me.
3 times?
Yeah.
So you need to give them, maybe I didn't give this person a bigger
Maybe,
chance.
right? Maybe
I didn't.
Yeah. And I think the other thing with Kelly is she's got 50 dates is a lot. Where does she meet these guys?
So let me hold on, wait a sec. It's 50 individual dates with different people, or 50? There's if you guys ever check it out, I don't know if she still has her blog up, but it's something called 50J Dates. And she and I spoke a number of times. She's actually a really, really great person, and she just recently got married a year and a half ago or so.
Did she meet one of the people on the 50 dates?
Yeah, she didn't go through her full. She didn't go through her.
Oh,
full
she
50.
stopped when she met the person.
Yeah, and that was tough. That was a tough kind of. That was, because you have to figure out at some point, you're like, hey, but also too, you have to be very careful. Are you going to protect your identity? Or because people started figuring it out, and they were just she'd be on a date, and the guy would be like, wait a second, are you that? And she's like, oh no.
Unless he's watching Go Curvy or reading my website, I don't think that.
But that's
I'm going to be open with it. I'm not trying to hide anything from anybody.
Well,
because she really is trying to meet somebody. I think that's and she's just given herself this goal to do it.
I did it to make myself go on the dates because I didn't want to do it. And I'm like, how am I going to do this in LA? And it just came into my head, and I'm like, that's a good idea, because it's kind of making myself an appointment where I have to do something, and now I have to answer to it.
Well, don't miss a very fundamental piece, and this is what I have to tell my clients big time, is that men are much more sensitive than you think, and they're much more complex than you think. So if you're not careful to protect your identity while you're doing this, and he finds out about it, and he actually might be really great for you, and you really feel strongly that you need to go through all 50 dates, well, that's more than likely going to hurt his feelings. It's going to make him, feel
that's a good point.
Something different than what you're hoping for. Same thing for women, right? It's like, there's a lot of players out there, right? And that's literally what they're doing. They're dating a lot of different women until they find the one that makes sense for them. That's literally what you're, turning that into. That's why I laugh all the time at programs like The Bachelor.
Am I a player?
That's literally what you're doing, right? Doesn't mean.
Oh my God, I'm a player. I didn't even know it.
When Brandon just said that, it's kind of like, because what happens if you do meet somebody and you're like, well, just hold on because I'm going on more dates? That would make him feel really bad.
Yeah, so protect your identity.
Too late for that.
It totally makes sense, right? Because you need to make sure wholeheartedly that you have the right person.
Yeah.
But don't just do it for the sake of trial and error. Do it with something in mind, right? But if you're going to see the full 50 dates through, then you have to go one of 2 ways. Once you start finding the great guy and you really feel like there's something there, you beforehand make sure your identity is protected, or just straight up tell them, hey, I have to date 37 more people, so just FYI.
It's like, goodbye. See you later, Kelly Glover.
But if he does have that potential and he finds out, you're in trouble.
I also feel that if they met me and understand me, then they're the right person. They would actually get that.
It sounds great in theory.
So, Brandon, where can she go to meet these guys? Do you have any tips for her? Where's a great place to meet a great guy?
Well, first and foremost, like I said before, I work with all my clients for the end goal, right? I say, where do you want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, right? So if you know exactly where you want to be, then well, the fastest way to get there is to start acting like her now, right? So if you know, like, oh, like I want to be in martini lounges and go to art exhibits and blah blah blah. I can't do that now, but I want to like be there 10 years from now. Well, don't wait till then.
I see.
Start doing it now, because guess what? The guy that's right for you is going to matriculate to those areas.
So should she go to a PTA meeting? Right?
It's like, so, are you Johnny's mom? No, I'm just solo.
I'm looking for a date.
No, but I'm just, a lot of this has to do with my age, to be honest, because I know that, you know, if you want to have kids, you have to do it by a certain age. I've got a certain age in mind, so that's why otherwise I wouldn't worry.
Yeah.
Right.
I really wouldn't be worried at all.
Yeah. And
So-
that's, and a lot of people ask me why I only work with women, and that's really men, we don't have that timetable. I literally have a friend who's considering, having children, and he's almost 50 and, hasn't had any yet,
Can I date him on my dates?
Absolutely.
No, I'm serious.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
I'll put you in touch with him.
49.
Well, Brandon, I hope you'll come back so you can help us out with Kelly and find out where she is. And I think we're going to follow her in a couple dates on Go Curvy too. So we might want you to have a look at it and tell us, be honest with what she's doing wrong too, right? Because we learn from our mistakes, and we really want to. Such a lovely lady. We want to find her someone really good. So. I always feel like when she told me what she's going to do, I'm actually really concerned for her. I am.
I'm quite good on dates. Going on dates doesn't actually bother me. It's just meeting the right person on the dates.
Right.
Because most people actually do want to date me again. Like, I don't have the problem with people turning me down.
No, I'm
I have the
talking
problem
safety.
with finding the right person.
I'm talking safety, so maybe I'll send like a crew member with you. No, I'm talking safety.
Hi.
We're in Los Angeles.
This is my bodyguard.
The whole crew. We're taking the whole crew with you. A camera crew for the whole
With
thing.
little microphones on.
Brandon, thank you so much.
Very
This has
welcome.
been
Very welcome.
really informative, and I see Kelly smiling, so I think that word player. I don't know. She might be enjoying that word player a little too much.
I didn't even know I was one.
Your curvy body.